canned heat and on the road again, which is a perfect introduction to our very special guest on Chewing the Fat today. A gentleman I met a little while ago at a Breezy's function in Geelong. Yesterday I had the privilege of speaking to him in front of the crowd about his story, and today an opportunity to extrapolate a little on the story of a young fellow who's a little bit confused one weekend. What will I do? I'll go for a ride on my bike. His name's Paul Bourke, probably most famous for running his own accountancy business in Geelong iDoors, which is station sponsor of 94.7 The Pulse. I'm delighted to say, Paul, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Robert. Thank you.
Good to have you. It is a great story, and we'll really get into the depths of it, because the more I hear you telling me the story, the more interesting it becomes, and I reckon I'm only halfway into it, which is exciting me, and that's why I was really looking forward to this morning's chat. But let's go back to the start of it. It literally was, I'm a bit of a loose end. What will I do? I'll get on my bike and go for a ride, and away you went.
It was actually a random Thursday. I went and saw a client at work, and we were having a chat, and I was in a pair of jeans and a leather jacket and a t-shirt. And they said, "What are you up to, Bourke?" And I said, I'm heading off for a motorbike ride because I had a few days off work. And in the back of my head, I thought, look, I'll see how far I can go. But I'd never actually ridden further than 250 kilometres in one day. Anyway, I jumped on the bike, and 6 days later, I was in Palm Cove. And that was going through hailstorms. As I went through New South Wales, hailstorms, you name it. It was wild weather.
Yeah, we didn't talk about it yesterday, but Damien said you had some extraordinary weather conditions, which we've been seeing them on the news down here for the last 18 months, it seems, the torrential downpours.
Yeah, and it was a replication of that when I was up there in New South Wales. And it's funny, I was riding the motorbike through Newcastle, through that area in Sydney, and a lot of motorists were actually waving at me. And I thought, what's going on here? I pulled over at one of the service stations, and because I know it was really bizarre. This is on the M1, the highway. There were no real cars around, and they said, "Mate, what are you doing? There's been weather warnings. Like, we're talking like torrential rain." And I just said, I wasn't aware of it because I'm on a motorbike, and I said, "Just keep going north." So I just said, "Keep going north." And the further I went north, as I got towards Queensland, the sun came out, and I've got a smile on my face when I think about it. The sun came out, and that was it. There was no going back from there. But I had to get back to work because it was Monday or Tuesday by this stage the following week, and I had clients to see. So I dumped the motorbike in Cairns and flew home to work. And I was looking out the window, and I thought, you know what, it's time to go back on the motorbike, fly back up there a week later, and keep going. So that's when I did the lap of the country.
So I want to go back to again the reasoning, because I think when I think about it, it's really relevant to the whole story to me about,
of course,
that's such unusual behaviour. So your mind at that time to do that, the time to do it, the ability to do it, what was actually going on in your head?
Yeah, so I went through, I guess we all go through a few hurdles in life. So I went through a little bit of a hurdle in my life a few months prior, and just felt the need to just disappear for a little bit, if that makes sense. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay, but it's just I just felt the need. I think I've spoken to particularly a lot of men about this. About, sometimes it's just good to get in the car and just disappear and just drive. I've had a lot of people tell me that they're very envious of that sort of journey to be able to get in the car and disappear. Well, I did on the motorbike, and so truthfully, that's what I was doing. I thought I'll just go on, because for me, being on a motorbike. And I haven't ridden a motorbike all my life. It's only been the last decade or so. But being on a motorbike for me is really liberating. You don't, how do I put it? You're so focused on staying alive, if that makes sense, so nothing else matters. You don't think about anything else whilst you're on that motorbike, because you're focusing on what's in front of you and staying alive. But at the same time, it's a freedom in your head as well.
The same freedom that would lead you to say, or not notice that you were riding a bike through torrential rain, and probably would be a good idea to pull over and have a spell.
Correct. Spot on the money, yeah. There was there's a few videos about it with me on the bike, because I kept a diary. Because what I did was, when I left home, I thought, you know what, I'll make a diary to myself. So I got a GoPro, went out to JB Hi-Fi and bought a GoPro and started filming it. And and that's what it was, a diary to myself. So I could look back in years to come. I have no social media, so I don't have anything, no Facebook, no Instagram, nothing like that, right? But I decided I'll put it on YouTube because it's a good place to store these videos and look back in 10, 20, 30 years' time. And and have a smile on my face. So I started to do that. I thought, well, every night I put a little video up on YouTube and had a smile to my face. But all of a sudden, a couple of thousand people are watching it all over the world, and it became, and that's where I'm sure we'll get into it. That's where the momentum started to grow.
Yeah,
and
that's why I thought it was important to. We want to rush to the subject matter, which is a bit in the second stage of your journey. But hang on, let's go back and understand where you were at, maybe what you were looking for, which again would have had your eyes open to the second part of your journey from Palm Cove to wherever. Yeah,
because you're right, Rob. That first 6 days, truth be told, it was let's use the term clear the mind. I certainly did that. And it turned into a journey which was about myself that then became a journey about others. And when I went back to Cairns and picked up the motorbike, I went down to a local Kmart. And I didn't know where I was going at this stage. I just knew I was going to keep going somewhere. So I went down to the local Kmart and bought a football for $20. And I contacted a few mates back at my old footy club, Geelong West, back down here in Geelong, and said, boys, I'm going to kick 100 goals around Australia. As a bit of a joke, and I'm going to film it. so I headed across the Savannah Way, which is a road that goes across the northern tip of Queensland, across towards a place called Corumba in the Gulf. And I started stopping at footy ovals. Well, at that stage, it was rugby ovals. Anything that had 2 sticks, I'd pull over and have a shot at goal.
So you set the camera up?
Yeah,
on the ground, so it's you got the vision right, and away you go.
Yep, it was. I started off with the rules were 1 shot only, 45-degree angle, 30 metres out. I thought, all right, here we go. And I was a dumb ruckman back in the day. I wasn't a very good kick, so I don't think us Bourkes are very good kicks. Actually, I must admit. But I thought, I'll give it a crack. And by the time I got across to the Northern Territory, I was about call it 8 goals 5 or whatever it was at this stage, right? And it's funny, in remote Queensland, there's not many footy ovals, or not many ovals at all. But I did find them. And from there, gosh, going through remote Queensland was I don't know how many people have been out there that are listening, but that's a beautiful place out there. It's just, there's something about the remoteness.
Yeah.
That's
Nothing is very attractive, actually.
It's very attractive. It's take me back there in a heartbeat. It's very attractive. But I rolled into Katherine in the Northern Territory, so just south of Darwin, and had a shot at one of the local ovals. There was a rugby oval, and I missed the goal. And it's on one of the videos. I missed the goal, and I was spitting the dummy. I thought, oh, goodness sake, I've got to find an Aussie rules oval, because I could not find Aussie rules. And this is in Northern Territory, which is the home of Aussie rules for a lot of the boys up there. They love it. And I came across a footy oval up there, which is the main oval, and for those that are listening, a lot of the football ovals in the Northern Territory are actually fenced off. I'm talking big 10-foot fences and so forth. And I went to this main oval and couldn't get in. And it was a bit of a sliding doors moment. As I was trying to get into this oval, trying to find a way in, a car was coming out. And a woman was in the car with a few Indigenous lads. And she said, can I help you? I said, well, look, I'm just trying to get into the oval to have a shot at goal. And I just told my story. I said, look, I'm trying to kick 100 goals around Australia. She goes, oh, that's great. Come on, let's do this. I said, come on, lads. And so the boys got out of the car and came and had a shot at goal with me. And I kicked that one, Robert. Actually, no, I nailed that one for about
So you're now 9-6.
That's right. We had a bit of a laugh, had a kick, and that sort of thing. It was great fun. And I got talking to the woman who was helping the kids out that day, and she told me that they have a box of footy boots that they share at the club. And I thought, oh, okay. And I've been involved in programs in years gone by with footy clubs where you donate second-hand boots and so forth. Yeah, that's okay. And anyway, so cut a long story short, I then left there and went to Darwin, which is another couple of hours up the road. As I was riding the bike to Darwin, it just really got to me. I thought, it didn't sit well with me. That the lads didn't have footy boots. They have to share their boots. So I did a U-turn, came back. I rang the boys at work and said, fellas, I said, I want to buy those kids some footy boots. What about it? So Idols, let's get behind this and buy them some footy boots. So I rode back and actually met up with the lads again and bought $1,000 worth of footy boots for the kids. So we bought about a dozen pairs of boots, or whatever it was at the time. And actually, I'll tell a quick side story. I was in the sports store in Katherine, and all the footy boots are up on the wall, and there would have been about a dozen kids there with me. And I think it was Nike or one of the brands had a pair of footy boots with indigenous drawings on it and turtles all over the boots and things like that. And I said, boys, do you want a pair of these ones? And this little kid's shaking his head like, no, I don't want them. He's repulsed by them. I said, well, are you okay, mate? Like, I grabbed him. He stood back and goes, I don't want these footy boots. I said, why not, mate? He said, mate, they've got turtles on them. The turtles make you run slow. so someone's had a brain fade at Nike or wherever it was, thinking that the kids want turtles on their boots, but the kids didn't want turtles on their boots. But what I actually learned from that moment is they just wanted the boots that Patrick Dangerfield wears or that the heroes wear. That's what they wanted. And that's what got me really fired up. I want to give them the boots that their heroes have got. Yeah, and so I ended up buying the Nike boots for them and said, boys, whatever it costs, just let me know. We'll get them. And so, as I was telling you yesterday, actually, at the Precies function, from there, I headed towards the Kimberley on the motorbike. And that's a beautiful part of the world. And actually, I'll mention this because it was my phone blew up. So when I was riding around Australia, I was just sleeping on the side of the road. I had a tent and literally would just pull up and just find a tree and just sleep under it. That's where it was at for me. And I did that around the Kimberley. I had no phone service. But as I was going towards where was it? I'm trying to remember the name of the place. Timber Creek, a place near the Kimberley. I was just about to lose service. My phone blew up, and it was the day that Trump was shot. Everyone's saying, "Have you seen the news?" Now I didn't know what. All it said was, "Have you seen the news?" And then that's it. I had no service for 3 days. And the reason why I mention that is because the world was chaotic. And here I was for 3 days, none the wiser. I had no service. I couldn't speak to anybody.
In perfect peace.
Oh, it was amazing. Because I got to Broome, and obviously my phone then blew up. I saw the news, and I decided not to read it. I actually put the phone down and thought, that's it. And to this day, I actually haven't read an article on that assassination attempt in America. I haven't read anything on it. But the reason why I mention it is just it was bliss. And I think we could all do that a bit more often. Just put the phone down.
I wholeheartedly agree.
But what happened was, as I was going around the Kimberley, the Bush Telegraph was in full motion, and a bunch of kids were waving me down on the side of the road, so kids could see me because the Bush Telegraph was saying there's a bloke on a motorbike with a footy on the back, and he's kicking goals around Australia. So I've got videos of me actually pulling up into communities and having a shot of goal with all the lads and meeting families and having a laugh, and I actually got phone numbers and stayed in contact with a few of these lads, and we've thrown a bit of financial support behind them as well. Personally, I've done that just to help them out because there's some good kids out there who are actually having a crack. And then from there, what happened was I decided I could do more, and so I decided to raise a GoFundMe page, which is not everyone's cup of tea, but I didn't know how else to do it at that stage. I was on the side of the road, so I had a GoFundMe page. Blow me down, the best part of $25,000 was donated into the campaign. And so I kept riding the motorbike around Australia, and by the time we got to Perth, Channel 7 contacted me, of all things. And as I was saying to you earlier, that they rang me up and said, we've seen your GoFundMe page, and in this sad world we live in right now, this is a nice story. And they said, we want to run a nice story for once. We'd like to run your story. So I was all over the national news. I had mates in pubs in Queensland and in Melbourne at like 8 o'clock at night looking up on the TV going, that's Bourke. What's it? I didn't tell anyone I was on the motorbike. He's on the TV. He's on a motorbike in Perth. What are you doing? So they're all ringing me. And actually, I has this. I was when I left Perth the very next day after being on TV, I headed down towards Esperance, that area. Down south, and I might have been going a little bit too quick, and the cops pulled me over. So it's my only indiscretion the whole trip. They pulled me over, and I was doing a fair whack, a fair speed, and they said, "Hey mate, weren't you on TV last night? Was that you, the bloke who's raising money for kids or something like that for cancer?" They didn't know what it was about. I said, "Yeah, that's me." They said, "Oh, listen, mate, get out of here." They said, "Consider this a donation." And they let me go. So I'm not sure the Victorian police would be so generous. But
no, the reason I was thinking last night about this, and I think I said to you, I enjoy these conversations, and sometimes the less you know at the start, the better, because it opens up a lot of interesting things. But last night got me to thinking about going back all the way to the purpose. There was a hurdle. You went for a drive to clear the head without really knowing, and then you've clearly impacted someone's life to the point where the next town's waiting for you to come. What was that like for you when not only have you had this moment where, okay, I feel good, those kids are happy, I'm moving on my journey, but then all of a sudden people are not expecting you to do it, but they're saying, hey, mate, that was fantastic. Can you do that for us?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. It was it's incredibly rewarding. You know, I know it's an old saying. You know, there's a lot comes from giving.
Yeah,
it does. Like it really does. Look, I'm a bit of a bleeding heart at the best of times. I think my brother was telling you that yesterday. But I sort of you know, it just I get quite emotional thinking about it and talking about it because to see the joy in not just kids, adults as well. Like a lot of these are adults, and you know, and I put the disclaimer on this yesterday. There's no political statement behind this. There's no movement behind it. There's nothing behind this. It's just I was just trying to help people out. That's all it came down to. Because a lot of people have pushed different things to me to say, you know, what's motivating this other than helping people out. And no, that's all it is. I'm just helping people out.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So yeah, it's.
Well, you've come from a great footy family. By way of introduction, younger brother of Damien, Geelong captain, Brisbane ruckman. So it's in the family. You've got brothers and nephews that have played locally. Nephews still going. A couple of them going around tomorrow with St Mary's. But you've always known the importance of football to community. But you've also seen a lot of superstars in the AFL program that have come from remote places and have had maybe unique opportunities to be the best they can be, and they've thoroughly entertained us and mesmerised us at times with the ability of the Indigenous Australians. Is that sort of a thing in the back of your mind that maybe one of these kids that you've put a pair of boots on might actually be motivated to follow that path in life?
Yeah, could you imagine that? Could you imagine in years to come a Brownlow medalist or something like that?
Stand up. Paul Bourke gave me my first boots, and they didn't have turtles on them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Look, I actually played a game of footy 2 months ago when I went up there. We delivered the best part of 240 pairs of boots or whatever it was, and I decided to put my hand up and play a game. And the reason why I mention that is because you still think you've got it when you're out there. I can tell you now, I don't have it, but. They were running rings around us, like, and I know that's expected, but the point I make is that I'm 45, and I said to some of the boys, I said, boys, I'm too old for this, and they're going, hey brother, how old are you, mate? I said, I'm 45. They said, mate, I'm 52, and they were still running rings around me. It was a real eye opener. But yeah, there's definitely some talent. Don't worry about that. There's some talent. But you know what's funny about it? It's just. It's like I don't know what term to use. It's like a lazy talent. They just the way that they move. Yeah. It's just silky,
laconic.
Smooth.
I like the word laconic.
Laconic. It's just so cool, you know. And and here's me, a big white lump. Oh, it's funny. The first 10 seconds, the ball was coming down my way, and I said to an old teammate of mine who's playing with us, Pops Kelly, I said, mate, I'm going to take the first mark here. I'm going to take a hanger. I'm going to kick the first goal. I said, watch this, mate. Watch this. And it was all in slow motion in my head. I'm going to take the biggest mark of my life. I got about 3 centimetres off the ground. I've been crunched from both sides. And I went down the ground. And there would have been about 1,000 people there. And they're all laughing. They go, look at Whitey. Look at Whitey. They're laughing at me. I'm going, yeah. Look at Whitey. It was skull. But
we're going to take a little break. We're going to support our sponsors, including iDoors, and we might actually, before we go, just talk a little bit about your business, because you have supported us, and we have the opportunity as a station sponsor for you to make some commentary about what your organisation does.
Bit of a plug. So we're a financial services and accounting firm. So that's investment solutions, so financial planning and accounting. So I'm predominantly on the retiree side. That's who I look after in my team. We've got a few thousand clients in Geelong and surrounding regions, and actually overseas as well. It's a business that was established in 1981. I took over the business with a couple of fellas about 17 years ago. There's three of us that own it. Felici Mail, Michael Noonan, and myself. And it's a great business. We're really
former Modawari champion, Felici
well,
Mail.
don't call him that because he'll replay that moment that you just said over and over again.
He's well known out there, the young fella. Have you set something up through the business now? Because yesterday you were quite shocked when you spoke at the Breezy's luncheon and before there's money coming at you.
Yes.
Can people who are listening this morning, is that a good way for them to tap into what you're doing?
Yeah, so we still haven't. It's not a registered charity or anything like that. So I know it's hard to say this, but you've got to take my word for it that every dollar goes towards the footy boots. So it just goes into a GoFundMe. And the reason why it's still like that is because I didn't expect this to continue. Yeah. It's like a good $2,500 was donated yesterday. And there's more money coming from a group in Melbourne. And so it's like, okay, 2026 is on. It's on again.
2026 is where we're going when we get back from the break. You're listening to 94.7 The Pulse. This is Chewing the Fat. My name's Rob Cameron. I'm with Paul Bourke, who has got a fascinating story. Fascinating journey around Outback Australia, helping youngsters and not so youngsters get into a footy boot and improve their game. We know where we're at, Paul. What's the future? What's next on your list?
Yeah, so I was quite happy just to fade off into the distance a couple of months ago when we finished the last campaign, which was a couple of hundred pairs of footy boots. But it's gathered momentum again. So there's a few $1,000s that have already come in again for 2026, and so I've now got the fire in the belly. Over the summer period it's hard over summer because obviously footy season stops, so it's hard to get the momentum going, but I'll keep it going over the summer period.
But footy's still very active in the Northern Territory, isn't it, during the summer?
Yeah, especially in Darwin. The further north you go, but not in Katherine and further south, but you're right. And because what happened was last year when I delivered the first load of boots to a bunch of under 16 kids in Katherine, I was told not to deliver too many, because they were having concerns, and this is coming back from the communities themselves. They were saying just don't deliver too many because we don't want the kids to have their boots stolen or lost or anything like that. So definitely come back for during the season. But this time round, I'm going to focus on remote New South Wales. If that means rugby, I'll go down that path. I don't know much about rugby, but I actually had a contact reach out to me from the rugby league through rugby league contacts saying, "Would you do it for the rugby kids?" Which, of course, I will, yeah, for sure. So, I don't care if I come across kids who play soccer. It's their boots at the end of the day.
Have you been to Kmart yet to get the supplies for the back of the bike ready? The Steeden bike and the soccer ball?
Yeah, and the little, what's a little placement to put the ball on?
Yeah, that's right. You need one of them.
Yeah, so I have to
place kick might be your go, Paul.
Yeah, might be the go. Might be 10 metres out instead of 30 metres out. But yeah, so I'll definitely, and I think it'll be earlier this time, because the reason why I went so late in the season, I went, June, July, whenever it was this year, is because of the wet season. To get out there. But being remote New South Wales should be a lot better. And there's a place called Bourke. I've never been there. I want to go to Bourke and get a photo in front of the sign.
Very famous town.
So I'll hopefully go there and find a footy team there.
The people that initially you didn't tell what you were doing, and that probably includes the family. It's grown. They've seen you on telly. My God, there's Bourke. So the support now from your friends group, is it growing with it?
Yeah, it has. And because I'm keeping this diary on YouTube, so people are following each episode, because they're like a half-hour episode. And once again, it's a diary to myself, but I've made it a bit of fun now because people are watching it. So yeah, I'm getting people coming out of the woodwork that I haven't seen for 20 years, saying, "Hey mate, I've just been watching your little campaign and it's great," and that's a nice feeling too. It's putting a smile. Look, we were talking before about how sad the world is at the moment. It's been a sad week for a number of reasons that we've seen in the news. I won't go into it, but it's a feel good story to talk about, and so that's why I like talking about it with people. Yeah,
it's about unity, isn't it? I think we're in a world that's for some reason is getting more and more divided, and these stories bring people together. And I think there's always been a little bit of an issue about Australian connecting to Indigenous Australia, but football is one thing that does connect, really does unite, and
100%.
And you've lived that perfect example of it.
Yeah, and like I do get a little bit outspoken about this because I don't like going to the football, in particular to the AFL, and having messages rammed down my throat. what I love about football and sport is that it brings us all together. It doesn't matter who you are.
Mm-hmm.
It just brings you together anyway. No one cares where you come from when you're on the footy field or who you are. You just play footy. And so my message has been, why don't we just let sport speak for itself? Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't like that, but that's how I am. And I guess, in a way, a $20 footy united me with people in the Outback. And yeah.
For whatever it's worth, I agree with you after originally disagreeing with you.
Sure.
And I think we're at a stage now for that very reason you said that it's about that unity. So, getting back to those kids that you've helped, do you keep in contact with them?
Yes. So I've got a couple of kids from a place called Timber Creek. When I say kids, young adults in their 20s. So what happened was about 20 years ago, the Timber Creek Lions, the footy club up there, they were actually booted out of the competition. There was a bit of crime and so forth, and that's generational. That was a long time ago, and these young kids now they were trying to get back into the competition last year, and so they asked me would I help them get back in and just be a bit of a voice for them. I didn't really contribute much at all, but I said, yeah, of course I will, boys, because they're working on farms, they're actually having a crack in life, and they just want to play footy. And it's funny, so the Timber Creek Lions, the young fella, Austin his name, he's a good fella. He said to me, we want to change the name of the team to the Roosters, because I played for the Roosters at Geelong West at the time. I said, mate, you're not doing that. He said, to say, we would love to change the name. I said, no, you're not doing that, mate. So they kept the name, the Timber Creek Lions. But that was quite a funny moment. But so it's, and look, I was in a place called Borroloola, which is pretty remote area near the Gulf of Carpentaria, the Corumba area in there. And I met the local coach. And he's sort of mid-50s, and he looked worn out. He's really trying hard to get him going and so forth. And he said to me, what's happened in most recent times is kids are going back to school, right? Because to play footy, you have to attend school, right? So they want to play in the carnivals. So they're saying, you go back to school, you get to play in the carnival. And for the first time ever, they had a female team this year, and they won the premiership, the girls, and they all went back to school. And what's happening with the young adults is they're getting jobs out of footy. Because I had a couple of people have a go at me on the YouTube channel saying, hey, mate, we've got bigger issues in this world to worry about than giving out footy boots. How about you do something else in life? That's what people like on the internet. And I
Seriously?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I've copped some hate. And I snapped back pretty hard and said, well, hang on a minute. It's bigger than footy boots. Like, it's actually a lot bigger than footy and sport. It's about... Well, people come back in. Well,
that's really ridiculous because yes, there are issues, and this is the ideal way to fix it.
I got called racist for not giving them to white kids. So I just thought, you got to be kidding me! You just can't win. You can't win in this world. But
that is extraordinary.
I've learned to ignore it all and go, stick it up your jabber. I'm doing what I'm doing. So, it's extraordinary people on the internet how they can be.
So is it still a little bit of, and I sense it is. You're going on another adventure.
Yes.
So there's no end game. You're still really making it up as you go along.
Correct. Yeah, that is exactly right. So even for 2020, so even last year when we went up north, we didn't really have a plan. Just a couple of mates from work and a bloke I played footy with jumped in the car and I was on the motorbike. And about 52 motorbikes followed me. It was like a Forrest Gump moment. People just followed me on the side of the road and jumped on and rode. One bloke rode all the way to a place called Barrow Creek. Now, that's north of Alice Springs. Just kept riding with me. Didn't stop for like 4 days. So people just started following me. And there's people reaching out to me now going, mate, Bourke, when you leave next year, I'm coming. And so I'm like, I'm not responsible for you, but if you want to come, you can come. So it's been great. Yeah.
No, it was magnificent. I alluded yesterday to a very moving moment I had on this station interviewing a fellow named Ron Harris, and I know Ron won't mind me telling the story, and I'm going to give this to him. He was a local fellow who got into some trouble, and he was living on the streets of Melbourne, and Peter Cullen walked out into the streets of Melbourne with a footy and invited people who were really struggling to come and have a kick with him. And he built a crowd, and the crowd kept getting bigger, and now RecLink has grown out of that, and RecLink is all over Australia now, giving people who otherwise would not have had an opportunity, and as Ran said, to have something to look forward to, a kick of the footy. And what you've done effectively with the arming these kids with footy boots is an opportunity to do something, to give them something to look forward to.
Correct.
It for a guy who is an emotional lad, that must sit really well with you.
Yeah, it does. It's very, very, very rewarding. And I know it's only small, but it's, it's very rewarding.
And still the desire. The best part about it is that it's created. It's not, oh well, I've done that. I'll go back and make some retirees happy. You've actually got a thirst for more without really knowing what more is.
Exactly. And look. It's put me out of pocket personally on a few things, and I'd do it 100 times again. It doesn't bother me. Like and the taxing on the bike, it's not easy. Like to sit on the motorbike for 10 hours a day. Like as much as it's liberating, it's good fun. I think on this YouTube channel, people see the fun side of it. They're big days. Anyone who's driven the caravan around Australia knows they're big days. I just daydream about it now. I can't wait to go on the motorbike. I'm heading off in a few weeks' time. I'm doing a thing called Toss the Coin, where I'm going to go on the motorbike. I'm going to toss the coin. Heads, I go north 500 k's. Tails, I go south. Next day, I'm going to toss the coin again. I'm going to do this for a whole week and see where I go.
Yeah, okay.
So to be out on the motorbike, and I'll be raising awareness as I'm doing this as well.
Make sure you chuck some east and west in there, because if you're like the current captain of the Indian cricket team, you're going to finish up in an ocean if you keep doing.
That's true too.
Keep doing that, I can assure you.
That's true.
Paul, it's been fantastic having you in, and I at the end of this conversation, there's a logical question: how can people help?
So there's a GoFundMe that's still open. So you just need to Google Bourke's Boot Ride. So Bourke's Boot Ride is where you'll find it. And
is this a bit like Bourke's front yard? Has there got to be a U in there as opposed to an O? Or...
Yeah, there's only one way to spell Bourke, Bourke, the real name. So Bourke's Boot Ride. And as I say, there's money sitting in the kitty right now, ready to spend, and I'll be keeping an eye on particularly Rebel Sport and so forth. There's a lot of sales on at the moment. I'm trying to get the boots as cheap as I can.
And the other thing, of course, you've almost given the open invitation. If someone is in retirement phase, or even at that stage of, like you, I just need to clear my head, the opportunity to sit with you without getting overly involved, just come along and observe it, is open.
Absolutely. I get really passionate about. I love my clients. I'm a real people guy. I just love sitting and talking with them and love the stories. And I've been sharing this story with a lot of clients as well. And actually, I've got clients who are sharing in the journey, like listening to the stories and talking about it. And so, yeah, absolutely. We're always open to talking to retirees. And look, let's face it, the grey nomads love the Outback, and I do too. I've been roped into it now. I just love the Outback. So. Yeah. There's a lot in common there.
Outback with a difference. Paul Bourke, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. We're going to keep in touch with what you're doing, and it may be that part of your diary, when you head off, you might ring us from somewhere if you can get phone reception, and let us know what you're doing on your next adventure. But
weather report from the Outback Australia.
Yeah, but I love the fact that you've just said it's an open codes thing. If you can help anyone stay involved in a sport,
netball, football,
the whole thing's very important, and because we don't, in this day and age, we don't all get the same opportunity. So what you're doing is presenting something to someone that maybe would not have otherwise been available, and that, in my opinion, makes you a good egg. Thank you very much, Paul. Good luck with your projects. Good to have you involved.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Thank you.